Pause. How you doing, guys? How you doing? Back at it. Still here, still alive. Thank God. Thank fucking God. Because you could lose your life any day in the city of Wayne, Michigan. I almost lost my life just existing in my backyard. I mean, had I done what I truly wanted to do to those pieces of shit, I wouldn't even be alive to even have a trial, man. I wouldn't even be alive. Well, I was alive and I've never got a trial because discovery issues and all that. Or issues, right? Discovery violations. Let's get it factually correct. Brady violations, discovery violations, just outright, just a disgrace, a mockery of discovery orders of Brady versus Maryland, Giglio, right? Terry Miller, Michael Bosnick. Yeah, that was some dirty shit. That was some dirty shit. Dirty shit. And it only got dirtier and dirtier throughout that whole hearing. But, I mean, it kind of like, in a weird way, it worked out in my favor by having incompetent counsel. Incompetent counsel being Jermaine Warwick and William J. Mays. Both completely incompetent. Which one's more incompetent? That, it's tough. I would say probably Jermaine Warwick because I think William Mays would have probably been like, hey, this isn't even a fucking ordinance. I would hope, right? But I don't know, man. It's like they were both too busy and they just kind of like didn't really give the case the time it needed. And I don't know. I mean, because I spelled it out for them. Like, hey, if you're enforcing a law that don't exist at all, then that's by definition void for vagueness. So, I mean, okay, so that just seems kind of weird to me, but hey, I'm just a man with a camera phone, I guess, and what do I know? Besides, apparently, more constitutional case law and more about the Fourth Amendment than Michael Bosnick or Kerry Miller did, more than Brita O'Leary did, more than Deputy Chief Finley Carter did, more than Chief Ryan Strong did, more than John Racy, the mayor of Wayne, more than anybody. I mean, I literally am apparently the only person in the city of Wayne, Michigan who knows what the void for vagueness doctrine is, right? Apparently, which is kind of, hard to believe, but I mean, I literally watched attorneys, prosecutors, judges just completely skip over the fact that this isn't a codified ordinance at all and not enforceable law and, completely and utterly and totally unconstitutional search and seizure. I mean, there's just no way it couldn't be. I mean, we're talking fucking literally the chief. I mean, this is beyond the chief evil of the Fourth Amendment. This is beyond that, right? Because chief evil against the Fourth Amendment is warrantless search and seizure without exigent circumstances, without consent, without, in this case, even probable cause, right? Probable cause not even being a subjective impossibility, but being an objective impossibility. Objectively speaking, there is no possibility that a crime could have been committed on May 9th, right? Which means that the entirety of prosecution against me was malicious by default, because if there's no probable cause ever established, right, you can't even allege probable cause because you're not enforcing anything that's lawful, right? And then, I mean, that's like the most glaring issue. But then you also have, there's no warrant. There's no exigent circumstance. They don't even articulate an exigent circumstance. It's kind of crazy, right? Like it's almost like these people never ever read the law. It's like either they don't know the law, right? Which, again, could somebody just not know the law? I suppose, right? It would be against your job description, and you wouldn't be doing your job very well if you just didn't know key aspects of your job, right? You take an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution. Well, how does that work, right? How do you uphold the Constitution when you're actively violating it, right? I mean, you see what I mean? The irony. I mean, it's really, really fucking crazy. The irony of everything is just, it's world class. It's world class irony. And so you're like, what does a nigga do, right? What do you do when you're falsely accused of a crime that's not even it's not even alleged, but it's not even possible either, right? It's like, I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm really the most innocent man in America when it comes to this criminal prosecution that I had to endure, right? I mean, it literally, truly, unequivocally is not a misstatement of fact to say for the interference charge, the May 9th, right? Which of course, if you take away that, you take away everything, right? So that's the whole key to the case, right? You take away that particular charge, and then you go, oh, well, you can't have a bond that's tied to a charge that doesn't exist. You can't have a secondary charge, right? Because, I mean, it's just like, hey, it's kind of like it's a squashed issue. The court can establish, okay, you can't trespass the curtilage. You can't violate the Fourth Amendment, trespass into the curtilage, without a warrant, without exigent circumstances, without probable cause, without consent, right? I mean, they bypassed all of that. They bypassed literally everything. And their own video evidence clearly demonstrates that the city of Wayne did not have any basis for the charge. They didn't even know what to charge me with, and it was all fabricated. It was all fabricated. The police report, the fire report, completely contradicts everything that's actually in the video. So, of course, I'm under no obligation to help the police, right? That's actually, I'm actually protected to not help the police. I mean, now that's called pleading the fifth and whatever. So I plead the fifth, or I decide, hey, you know what? I don't know, because I mean, there's no law that says that I can't capitalize on stupid cops being fucking morons, right? So if you want to be a stupid cop, break into someone's house without warrants, nosing around, enforcing laws that don't exist, right? Knowingly doing that, right? And then still, despite that, deciding, well, fuck it, we're going to charge them anyways. Well, okay, well, that's kind of like an IQ test, right? I mean, really, if you think about it, right? Like that's an IQ test, and basically everybody in Wayne failed the test. Everybody in Wayne failed the IQ test on May 9th, 2025. And then they completely flunked it on May 19th of 2025. Then they failed it again, July 5th, 2025. So that's three strikes, you're out. And that's me giving them a pass for March 28th, 2024. Right? That's me giving them a pass. So that's 3 strikes and a pass. You're definitely out. And then they decided to get too cute, right? They decided, we're going to go ahead and pass this open burn ordinance, 2025-02. We're going to pass it, right? Retroactively making what he did. Because it wasn't illegal then, but we're going to retroactively make it illegal, right? You see? And ad hoc enforcement, right? HOC enforcement. So, just interesting. It's just all very interesting. And you're like, man, all over a guy wanting to serve his community in his way, right? The way he wants to do it, right? So, of course, you're not allowed to do things the way you want to do them. You got to do things how the system wants you to do them, right? And if you don't, well, then you got to pay the price. So, well, I don't agree with that. I think I should be... Well, I guess my life will be summed up like this. I'm a person that pushes the envelopes early and often and consistently and relentlessly. and unapologetically, and I see where it takes me. And I think I want to be an example for the rest of the world that you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can truly do whatever the fuck you want to do. And you don't have to be beholden like a slave. You don't have to be crushed like a cockroach, right? Like, you have agency over yourself and your life. And, you know, nobody, like, how do I put it? Everybody's got an expiration date, right? And everybody's got, like, nobody's untouchable. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, guys? Like, nobody's really untouchable. That's my message to everybody. I want everybody to understand. If you take anything away from this channel, take anything away from, you know, why, right? Well, I want the world to know. I want the world to know because I genuinely feel that the city of Wayne Police Department is going to kill me and try to kill me. They already, you know, kind of did, right? I mean, threw me in jail for, you know, long time to be sitting in a jail full of joggers, right? Long fucking time to be sitting in jail full of ghetto ass nurses, Sheriff Raphael Washington, you know, I mean, like, it's all sick, dude. They're all fucking sickos. It's all a fraud. You know, the whole fucking thing. Half the people that were jailers should have been in the prison cell, right? I mean, it was just, it was all clown world, up is down, down is up sort of thing. You understand? And no, it's not legitimate. It's completely hell on earth, straight up, cruel and unusual punishment. It's fucking sick, dude. It's sick to just be like, hey, you know, you're just existing in society, and now you're sitting in jail with a guy who did a hit and run and murdered somebody, right? Killed somebody, did a hit and run. You're in jail with a rapist, right? You're in jail with an unaliver, right? And you're just like, man, you know, that's fucking crazy thought, man. Crazy experience, right? Traumatic, most traumatic thing. I've been straight up with you guys, you know, from day one. Severe PTSD, diagnosed, VA, Army, fucking 20 different doctors, all that, right? That was the most traumatic thing I ever seen in my life. That was the most traumatic thing I ever experienced in my life, I should say. By far. Wasn't even close. So what does that tell you, right? If a disabled, medically retired combat veteran tells you that that's the most insane thing you've ever seen in your life, well, you know, kind of is, man. I mean, really, should kind of tell you something, right? Should kind of something to you, like, already diagnosed with severe PTSD, and then I have to experience that. You know, I have to see that, experience that. All that time I got, you know, put in jail, away from my family, away from my kids, away from my wife, away from my family, my community. All the time I missed out, right? Doing what I wanted to do. And, you know, like I said, because it's not the city of Wayne's place to speak for everyone else, right? There'll be an election, right? Assuming we can have a fair and free election, right? Which, you know, of course, we've already seen that that's clearly not going to be easy to get, right? With all the sign stealing and, you know, sign destroying shit that's going on. So, I don't know. Something we got to bring up to the court, you know, and something we have to put into our emotions and keep a record, man. Just keep that paper trail going for them, because, you know, early and often, man, when you're dealing with scum, I mean, I've learned this shit, man. You can't take any chances, man. You guys got to understand, you know, I understand the risk that I'm in, the threat on my life that this has placed upon me. Just to speak the truth, right? Just to tell the truth, right? Verifiable truth, right? Am I gonna say that, you couldn't fucking find something that, well, okay, that's not, yeah, I mean, people have a slip up here again, right? But outside of that, right, outside of like a reasonable slip up or misinterpretation, or maybe sarcasm or metaphors, there's a lot of different contexts to how when people talk, right? And obviously it's all about intent and what you actually are compelling, right? And what you intend to compel, and how it's, it depends on everything, right? I mean, but one thing I can say is that, I mean, I don't think anyone's 100% perfect with anything they do in life, but I'm, as far as what I'm telling you guys, and I'm like telling you shit that I don't even know, don't even remember, I'm forgetting about. But I mean, this is all true and accurate to the best of my knowledge, and I'm a pretty reasonably educated human being, and yeah, I'm just seeing shit that I have to tell the world, because like I said, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be here, guys. I don't know how much longer, they're gonna put up with me and allow me to exist here, and it's scary shit, man. And it's the threat is real, and so I had to be prepared for anything, right? I got to be prepared for them to come kick my doors in, and come in with the SWAT team, and I'm surprised they haven't been swatted, to be quite frank with it. So yeah, I know the danger. I am the danger, though. I'm Heisenberg, right? I am the danger, so I guess. So I don't know. I'll be Heisenberg. I'll be the danger. I'm not gonna not let my story be told and let my family suffer and not have, a route forward, right? Because their father, their husband, was just murdered, was just shot and killed, or just thrown away in a dungeon. Then he died in a dungeon of a preventable disease, or a disease that was caused by the incarceration, right? The food and the lack of medical care, and of course, all that. So yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just, again, not being able to sleep, being, quite literally, locked in a cage, and solitary confinement, no window, no TV, just rotting away, because you told them to get a warrant, because you told them no, because you stood your ground, because you had a spine, right? Even though you got spinal stenosis, military service connected spinal stenosis, but you're not allowed to bring up inconvenient facts and truths and details, right? Little tidbits of information you're not allowed to tell people, because that's scary, man. That's intimidation, that's harassment, that's all that. So I understand, guys. Like I said, life is war, and just because you leave the military doesn't mean the military leaves you, and everything that you learned and were trained on and experienced. And of course, I was blessed. I got to go to Georgia Military College, and had a great experience with that. But yeah, it's not easy, man. It's not easy fucking. Not easy, man, to go through what I'm going through. Most people, like I said, 99.9% of the world couldn't do what the fuck I do. Right? They couldn't survive the life I've lived. They couldn't be, how do I say, as well adjusted, right? Because that's what I've always been told, right? Like, I'm well adjusted, and you're articulate and smart. And, your attention to detail. You see things, you notice things. Peripherals, right? You got peripherals, right? So, yeah, it's just kind of like, huh. A lot of people in my life have appreciated those characteristics of mine, but obviously some don't care for it. But I don't know. My response is basically tough tit, right? Tough tit. You don't like it? Well, I guess don't have public comment then, right? Because you effectively don't already now anyways, guys. Nobody dares to publicly speak, so unless it's, PG approved, message, right? Positive community news only, which is a fancy way of saying only talk about and speak about and write about and acknowledge shit that we approve of, right? Which basically is what that means, right? Like, only the low-hanging fruit, only the non-consequential softballs, right? The softballs, only the softball shit. You can't actually have hardball, baseball. You can't have any substantive, discussion or conversation or any of that, because, like I said, I mean, just to know that they know that the doors could be closing in on them, right? I mean, that's worth it by itself, guys, for me. Just to know that they're squirming, right, at the thought of me winning city council, and, then they're, of course, going to try to recall me. I mean, there's, like I said, guys, there's a whole plethora of abusive processes you could employ, right? But there's getting less and less options, right? The other option is basically bona fide murder, right? Bona fide, plausible unaliving, right? That's kind of the that's the end stage capitalism, right? That's the late stage capitalism of this, how these things go. Charlie Kirk, right? I mean, you know what happened to him, and JFK, and John Zook Jr., and what's the other one? Man, there's so many. There's been so many of them. Kelly Thomas, right? People remember Kelly Thomas. He was like literally murdered by the police for being homeless. By a dozen of them, they all got acquitted, which is just sick. When you watch the video, you're just like, wow, that guy was clearly murdered. And that's the justice system, though. Justice system, right? That's what we got, instead of, what would be appropriate, which would be like, hey, you guys maliciously prosecuted somebody, so not only are you fired, but you're going to jail, you're serving the same sentence, or actually double or triple the sentence because you're a public official, and then we're stripping you of your license. And yeah, that's like at minimum you can fill in the gaps for whatever else you want to add, which I'll probably be in favor of. But yeah, just basic, fairness, right? Eye for an eye, sort of thing, so to speak, right? Eye for an eye. Right, like you took something from me, I can't replace my time and my freedom and my life, and so, I got to take a little bit of yours in the sense of you got to go to jail, and I don't know. Seems pretty fair to me. Seems pretty normal to me. Pretty equitable to me. Pretty equal too. It seems just across the board consistently, right? But I would say double it, right? Because you were entrusted with protecting the public, protecting the Constitution, and instead you violated it willfully. So, willful violations of the Constitution and Fourth Amendment and all that. So, I don't think that should be rewarded. I think that should be nipped in the bud, right? Real quick. And it should be made an example so other people hopefully don't repeat that same pattern of behavior. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe this is all AI, right? Maybe this is all just AI. It's all just AI, and we've gotten to the point to where what's the difference, right? Who knows? Who knows, right? Because some will say mental illness, some will say mad genius, right? So I don't know. I really, truly don't know. Well, I guess I'm not qualified to say, having a psychology degree in organizational psychology. And that doesn't necessarily make me qualified, but it's kind of like a good indication that I might be like slightly qualified, or I might have a bit of a professional expert, assessment about it, right? Like I have some credibility to like my position, right? I do have a master's degree, and I guess I could have a PhD if the city of Wayne would stop maliciously prosecuting me, because I was, that's what I was working on until, so I was beginning to work on and beginning to, try to, my doctoral degree, right? Maybe not a PhD, but yeah, I was definitely looking at, maybe a second master's, maybe a doctoral, but yep, I saw, don't have time when you got to be, focused on prosecuting bums and parasites and people that want to pretend that they know what they're doing when clearly they know they don't know what they're doing, and everyone else knows they know that they know what they're not doing, and something like that, right? But everybody knows they don't know what they're doing, and it's clearly abundantly obvious. And we gotta, pretend otherwise, and we gotta prop up this fake system. Like Westland, like when I go to Westland, I feel like I'm in a real place. Like I feel like I'm in like a city. Like it's Westland. They have a mayor, right? Like he's an executive leader. Things function pretty well in Westland, all things considered. Certainly not perfect. Certainly got its problems, but not too shabby, I gotta say, guys. I mean, comparative to Wayne, night and day, total night and day. Fucking, God, what I would do to be in the Westland zip code, right? God, what would I do? I would do anything.